All right, welcome to the Common Council meeting, City of Bellevue, Idaho, Monday, August 26, 2024. It's 5:31 p.m. Just a reminder, if you're on Zoom, please mute your call. Inside the chambers here, please turn off your cell phones except for emergency personnel. Roll call, please, Michelle.
Mayor Johnson?
Yes.
President Jordan?
Yes.
Member Pereira?
Yes.
Member Leahy?
Yes.
Member Mahoney should be shortly. Member Obana?
Yes.
Member Shake?
Present.
All right, thank you. Finance the regular meeting notice and agenda are posted in accordance with Idaho Code 74-204 within 48 hours prior to the meeting at the City Hall, or at the City of Bellevue City Hall, Post Office, and on the city website on August 21st, 2024.
I move that the notice for the August 26, 2024 regular meeting was completed in accordance with Idaho Code, Section 74-204.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Call for conflict as outlined in Idaho Code 74-404. Does anybody have any conflict with tonight's agenda?
No.
All right, thank you. At this time, we'll go have some public comment and council discussion for the purpose of moving forward the resolution that the Idaho State Legislature can, for lack of a better term, I'm using dissolve the charter for the city of Bellevue and proceed with becoming an incorporated city. So we've been looking at this. I had Rick look into it. He drafted up a memo, which if we do decide to pursue, I'll share with you. But the highlights really are, it doesn't change a whole lot. It allows us to extend the biggest differences between incorporation and what we have going on is that we're limited to 2-year terms for our positions, which most municipalities do a 4-year rotation. It also stipulates that we'll have 6 council members. Again, most councils typically have 4. Some do have larger councils, but we're talking larger municipalities like Meridian, Twin Falls. Those under 10,000 typically have 4 members and a mayor. There's some differences on the appointments of vacancies that can be changed. All in all, there's not a whole lot that it does or does not do for it. The main issue is that any amendments to the charter need to be pushed through the state legislature. So as Councilmember Ovenoff, when she first came on, she mentioned that the charter was very gender neutral and everything is in masculine tense. So to get that changed, the charter to be, non or gender neutral, we would have to get a petition and push it through the state legislature. And in the past, things that have been brought forth to get changed, the last time it was done, they were basically told, shoo away, we don't want to deal with it anymore. So this just gives us autonomy to adjust any bylaws that we feel that better represent the city. It allows us to manage the city like every other city in the state. There's just a few things that tie our hands that we would have to go through the legislature that every other community can manage themselves and do it their own way. We would have to set up some sort of laws of incorporation that we would agree upon. One of the major hurdles to do this, we would need a petition that was signed by 25% of the last voting population, last number of voters. So this last election cycle, we had say 425 voters turn out in the May election for the bond. We would need 25% of that number to sign a petition to push it to a November vote to be on the ballot for full adoption, or for full vote by the city. Anyway. I would have liked to push it forward this year, but we got tied up with the budget and then just the process of doing it. This probably should have been started back in May. So if we were to pursue this, it would not make the November ballot. A ballot notification would need to be submitted by September 8th, and we're definitely not going to make that deadline. So we will continue to talk about this. I want to see if it's where you want to go. So if we do want to put together some petitioners to get the number of interested required by the Attorney General, and then start adopting, what the terminology would need to be, much like our bond. It's probably got to be certain, written in a certain way, and then we get it on the November 2025 election potentially, and then it could be adopted, and then we could see it go in front of the legislature for acceptance by January of 2026. It's not gonna be an overnight process. We can talk about it as much as we want, or whatever we want to do. Mainly it's just gonna be educating. We can provide, the charter is on our website. Anybody can pull it down and read it if they want to. I will make Rick's memo available. It kind of outlines the differences. It's pretty short and simple. There's not a whole lot of changes. It just comes really down to, if we do want to make any changes to the charter, it would have to be a petition to the legislature. And then, so things like gender neutrality, just common little, even just small things would have to go through the state legislature. And I think we're at a point that Bellevue can manage itself, and we don't need to rely on a document that would be.
How would it affect our marshal's department? Like the categorization as a marshal versus
Literally change the name.
change the name? It wouldn't change any education, any training or anything like that for you guys?
Would we have to change the name if we adopted it in our laws of incorporation? Is there,
No,
so we can keep it?
Okay.
no, there are other cities that use the term marshal instead of police.
Or police, okay.
So I'm perfectly fine with this.
I mean,
Just checking, it wasn't like a-
Last charter city.
we were the last one.
You're the last
reason
chartered
for
city
that.
in Idaho.
I say that every
really?
time.
That's for
Yeah. Everybody else adopted and moved on to being incorporated.
It's a reason.
There's a
that-
reason we're the last one.
Does
The
that change
only one.
annexations though? Okay.
No, we're still bound by Idaho code when
Okay.
it comes to annexations, and there's always been this myth that we can pass certain things, marijuana and casinos always the top list. No, we by state statute, that is something that we cannot do. So we have to stay within state law with what we do with inside the charter. And so there's nothing that really changes, other than the ability to, if we see something in our bylaws we want to change, we don't have to go through the legislature to change it. But then that would still take a vote through the council. There'd be public hearings on that. It'd be transparent.
What would be the advantages of staying a charter city?
Fair enough.
You get to be the last charter
You
city.
get to be the last one. I mean, that's something.
I mean,
That's all it's
Some
all
people
about.
that's important.
The only one,
What's the
yes.
history of
We're
to
number
why
one.
we haven't done this yet? Is there a
We're
backstory
the
on
best
that?
charter city.
The best charter city.
As far as I understand that the backstory, go ahead, Jeff.
So-
But
Years ago, we used to vote like at a weird time. And that was in our charter, and to change that to May and November, like everybody else, we had to pay for the lawyer. I don't think it was Rick either.
No, it's Jim Phillips.
Yeah.
And
The legislature.
we had to have him go there and change it.
Mhm.
So basically, we were gonna have them change the charter too, and a few people fought that. And so the council just dropped it.
Okay.
You know, and it was probably 16, 18 years ago when that happened, and,
07, I think.
you know,
Well, there was an update that was done in 07.
we did change the election, so we knew when to vote, you know, like everybody else, we didn't have to. And we had to run the election here too, so it was costly, and troublesome for the staff to do that. And then we would have to go November, you know, if there was anything, so.
Last time we went front, we tried to get the charter amended to have 4-year terms and 4 councilmen. Yeah, that's the name of that committee. I think that died.
Yeah.
There are some people in town that they think being the last charter states that they did think they marshaled their forces against it. Got defeated.
I mean,
Interesting.
if there was anything beside the historical value of it, you know, I would say probably keep it, but it doesn't, there's nothing that it does that helps, that promotes, progresses the city. So it's like, if we are required by the charter to have a marshal's department, but we don't get any extra money for the state to finance our marshal's department. So if that was something that, you know, they paid 20% of the marshal office, okay, I would probably be keeping it. But, you know, I have no intent of, you know, getting rid of the charter, then getting rid of the marshal's office. I kind of like what they do for us. I kind of like the marshal. Seems to be doing it all right. And, you know, we've been trying to grow the department back. So it has nothing to do with any big policy changes. It just, I want to update to the laws of incorporation that gender neutral, that meets the current, you know, what everybody else does in the state. I want to play in the same ball field, and I think we can manage ourselves. So.
Is this a costly endeavor?
No, I mean, it's gonna be a resolution. We'll have a representative and a senator that present it once we get everything done on our end. And then it should just go right through, because unless somebody at the Senate or at the legislature feels that we need to have a charter city in the state of Bellevue, or in the city of Bellevue, or state of Idaho. But if they want to do that, then they can cancel.
Well, it's actually up to the citizens of Bellevue.
And it's up to
We
citizens
put it on
first.
we get 25% of the on the petition, and then it goes on the ballot, and then the city of Bellevue votes for it, and then it just.
And then we just send a resolution.
Reorganized under the laws of Idaho.
And then we would might have some mismatched terms if this does go through, and then we kind of deal with how do we do that, because then we go from 6 to 4 potentially.
You could leave it at 6 if you wanted. I mean, it would be
Okay.
you wanted to do it.
The biggest expense that we would undertake is gonna be rewriting the laws of incorporation and making sure that everything matches state statute and its reference. You know, and if we did decide to change number of council persons or terms, we would keep it. I'm sure we write it in the laws of corporation that on the first election cycle, those that are eligible, there's gonna be a way to slide people out, and then people, you would, on your next term, you'd be running for that 4 year, you would not automatically be extended to a 4 term without being reelected. So current officials would complete their terms, and then as they came off, if they didn't extend, if they didn't want to run again, that's the way we could drop the seat. And we could get down to that 4 without having to draw numbers on who's quitting and leaving or whatever.
Okay.
And then we would probably still try to go to alternating terms as well, where you'd have even terms and odd terms, so we're not losing everybody in one cycle. But yeah, that comes further down in as we start talking about the and laws of incorporation. Yeah, we've seen since the last couple of years, city of Atomic City, actually, they were an incorporated city, but they had a couple of their residents that weren't agreeing with the council members in the city, and they were such a small city, they had no enforceable law enforcement, and the county didn't want to get involved, so they basically dissolved their corporation. So the county was then forced to take over. So stuff like this isn't new. there are cities that have reasons to change their statuses. This is just one of those opportunities. I think has been talked about, and kicked down the road. And we're not gaining anything. We're not gaining the ability to change fees right off the bat. We still have to go through the same voting processes when it comes to bonds, levies, and anything else. We're still having representation voted on by the community. It just updates us to the 21st century.
A path forward would be to share the city attorney's memo with us and get the charter into everybody's packet so that we can review it, because, you know, in kind of broad strokes that the mayor went over, that's kind of the nuts and bolts of it. But there's also a lot of gobbledygook in my humble opinion in there. And it does also, I think, reflect a very historical way of looking at things that I think could be updated to bring the city forward. And so, you know, obviously, we're not gonna meet that September. What about a spring election? It would
It's gonna
still
go
have
in
to
the
go to the
May.
legislature at the
But-
following.
Yes, yeah, so that's the issue. There's really no rush to push it in the spring because
It would still have to go to the
it's not gonna
legislature.
go until January of the
Yeah.
following year that it's approved.
And I think the best way forward on that is to, you know, not rush, because every time we rush through something, we tend to, you know, maybe not make mistakes or make mistakes, but we just don't think things through all the way. And so, you know, I would suggest, you know, having those materials in a future packet that we workshop through, you know, at some point in the future and
Yeah,
move it
so-
forward then.
Yeah, this discussion is mainly to get a sense of where we want to go, if we want to pursue it and put the time in to pursue it and bring it forward to the residents and try to get it on a ballot. Or if we really don't, it doesn't matter.
How does the petition work? So is it something that we would run then? So council members, we could go door to door and, yeah, great. And so we don't have all the restrictions like a bond, or do we have to find language from it to then,
Yeah, it's kind of long.
okay,
Yeah, so
Anybody could do this. I mean, just a citizen that's sick of the charter, they can gather 150 signatures, submit it, you guys by resolution, that they do elect resolution. And then you have to, 10 days after filing the petition, submit it to the county, SB 45 days, 45 days after the adoption of the resolution. So you have this 45-day period. Get it into the county election. The only other, this next coming election is gonna be a pretty big election.
Yeah.
It's a presidential election, so you're gonna have a lot more. And so. You're gonna get signatures next year.
well, what if there was a May election though? If there was something in that, it says after the last election. So if there's another May, but again, we saw,
But I think it's a general election though, so it's the last general, so this coming one would be the last one, so. Like less petitions, we want to do 6.
I'm not worried as much about the petitions. I mean, we've seen that the voting in Bellevue can be sporadic. The previous November's election, we only had like 325 people come out and vote. And then we have a spring election that people said nobody come out and vote. And we had one of the highest turnouts that we've ever had for Bellevue in the last 5-10 years. So, at this time, I'll open up for public comment. This is public comment on moving forward with the consideration of getting rid of the city charter. Is there anybody online that wants to make public comment? Online, anybody? Tony?
Well, I don't want to pose this as a question, because I know this isn't a Q&A period, but I'll just comment. I gather that the primary change would be the opportunity to extend council terms.
The primary benefit is to be able to amend our laws or the charter as a council instead of having to go through the legislature. So whether it be changing verbiage in it or changing terms in it, one's not a bigger priority. It's just the ability to govern ourselves and adopt or amend our own bylaws or charter instead of having a legislature.
So council terms could be changed anyway, but it would have to go through the legislature. Okay. And
No,
If
the
we
legislature passes the laws that govern the cities. These laws that govern the cities, we still have to go in front of the state legislature.
right, but he's saying
And we don't have a charter anymore. If we disorganize or we reorganize, we still have to go to the legislature. If we don't like the laws that govern cities. The number and terms of the councilman at that point, 4 years, and we can decide whether we want to be 4 councilmen or 6 councilmen.
then we go from 2 years to 4 years.
Yes.
Okay.
They don't know, there's no 2-year terms under the state.
Right. But right now, if we wanted to petition the legislature, we could change that from 2-year terms to 4 if they were willing to listen to it and approve it without abolishing the charter.
Yeah, and then the problem is if there's something that we don't have, or some weird part of our charter that isn't working for us, we have to go to the legislature to get it changed.
Okay, thank you. If I could get that memo, that'd be wonderful.
Yep. Any other comments? All right, seeing none, I will close public comment at this time. Not being an action item, we don't really have to do anything, but we'll continue to discuss and look at avenues on how to develop the wording for the petition, what outreach and education we want to do, and who and when we want to start gathering signatures.
Yeah, I would suggest we put this on a particular calendar for some time in spring to get lost in the budget process.
So let's see, April. Let's visit it April 1st, or the first meeting in April.
Yeah. I think so. Let's give ourselves enough time.
I mean, we do have elections coming in, and so with January, if there are any changeovers in council, that would give them January, February, March, and April to see where things are at, learn a little bit about the charter, and
It could be worth kind of as Diane had said, starting the year with maybe in that January, just having the charter information at like within our packet somewhere for
Yeah, I just don't see how
returning
we,
a new
yeah.
council. Yeah,
sorry, I interrupted.
No, it's okay.
You know I do that.
that's okay.
I'm not proud of that. Now I lost my train of thought. I mean, I just think, in order, got it. Back on track. In order for us to have an informed discussion, I really think we need to have that charter available to us. I mean, sure, we can all pull it offline, but having kind of a hard copy right there.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. I don't want to have to go through a line by line, page by page.
Nor do I.
Okay, as long
No,
as we come to the understanding that I expect that you've gotten this far in life and can read by now,
yes.
and we can have discussion, I'm happy to do so. Okay, thank you, everyone. All right, so at this time, get to item 4, public comment. These are public comment for items of concern not on the agenda. Please keep your comments to 2 to 5 minutes. And again, these are items not on the agenda. At this time, I'll open public comment. Yes, ma'am. Please state your name and address for the record.
So my name is Lori Israel. This is my husband, William Lennon. We have our main residence is 304 North 3rd. We bought this property in 1989. We have lived in that property All this time, we also own 312 North Third, which is right next door. Both lots are 1.5 lots big. I have a personal problem with what the city has done. I have a letter here from, which I get every month for our water bill. And in the water bill, you know, you put in stipends, things that need to be told throughout, which is the watering, the plowing, etc. In this letter, or in this water department note, which is 8/26/24, that is, no, that was the date I got this. I pay auto for both residences on water. It does say here, since everyone can read, it does say, please be mindful of accumulating garbage. Term garbage shall include tin, aluminum cans, glass, plastic bottles, leaves, weeds, cuttings from trees, lawns, shrubs, gardens, paper products, wood products, plastics, synthetic substances of any kind, or junk on property, private and city streets and alleys. Please keep damaged or inoperable vehicles parked behind a fence or barriers of view. The city is cleaning all alleys of brush, limbs, personal property. By the way, those are all in capital letters. All personal property needs to be removed from the alleys and moved to owners and occupants private, property out of the public right of way. I have records here from all of our fairway lawns who have been spraying our trees with dormant oil and white pine weevil. We have been there for a very long time. We have planted blue spruce trees inside our lawn. When we first moved here, there was a fence that was further out than what our fence line is now. In that old fence, we have an apple tree, apricot tree. We had aspen trees on the alley. We were told not to remove, we didn't have to remove those trees once the water water line was put in through the alleys. Do not move those. We don't need to have those trees removed. We then had a new fence built because of all the neighbors moving in and building homes. We built a fence. Bill and I built it ourselves, 6 foot high. The trees are now on the outside of our yard. The water was put in, the water line was put in, and we asked the men who were putting the water line in for the shut-off valve if we needed to remove these trees. And they said, absolutely not, because we can put the water line in. I have 4 trees that of last week, I came home from my house. I have asked Alpine Tree Service to do all of our trimming, to do all of our, we're very into the land, the earth, and having trees for oxygen. It states here, I only have proof of this one time back in 2006, that I would like certain screening between the back of the house and the neighbors. It is written, it's all here. I have only paperwork from 2006 from Alpine Tree Service and all thousands of dollars worth of
Maintenance.
trimming, maintenance, etc. I also have here all of my fairway lawns, who also does my dormant oil for all the fruit trees. I have fruit bearing trees. There are apple trees, there are cherry trees, there are apricot trees. The 2 trees I'm talking about are in the alley. It's an apple tree and an apricot tree, and they are still fruit bearing because we trim them. We trim them as a canopy, the true fruit trees. There's no other trees in that alley. We've had okay, I'm a little nervous. We've had cranes coming into that alleyway to remove other trees, aspen trees from both properties. I have those here from 2006, and Fairway Lawns, who does our spraying as well with dormant oil. They can only go back to 2020, but we can get more documentation. The other day I came home and I could see the whole back of my neighbor's homes. Those trees that were out in the alley had been pruned so that there's a canopy that didn't go further than we thought our lot line. The day I came home and saw that I could see the meters, back windows, back doors, all of the garages, there are lights that are put on the garage doors that are way above my fence line. I ran here, I'm very upset. We do not have human children. These are my children. The land is my children. I have kept these trees pruned and living for over 25 years. They're now the blue spruce that was totally butchered is 25 to 30 feet high. And it's a tree that does not go out to the limbs. The tree did not go out into the alley. These are trees that there's only 12 of in this valley, which I had just now found out last week from Alpine Tree Service that there's only 11 or 12 of these trees in the valley. They grow downward. They hug the trunk. The city said for the gentleman that one of them is here that I absolutely blew up to, and also our sheriff. I'm very upset about the way they trimmed the trees, first of all, and the fact that this notice that came out for all residences to clear the alley. There has never been one thing of ours in 3 lots other than 5 trees in this alley. I don't put junk out there. We don't have cans. We don't have plastics. We don't have trucks and vehicles, etc., that we all see in our alleys in this city. Okay.
This is your idea or an idea that we do have a time limit.
Okay, I'm gonna go real quick. I'm upset. I don't think that these men who chopped these trees should have taken these limbs out 8 feet up off my trees, and now I have no privacy. I have given, or I will pass along that since 2006, but way before, but we don't have documentation because those companies are not still the same owners. That all I wanted is some privacy in our home and in our backyard, because we do have a very large backyard. I was not told that these trees would be botched and butchered the way they were. There is a water line that goes right under these trees. Now, I apologize for being upset, but I had a reason, and I have spent thousands of dollars since '89 keeping these trees and everything groomed the way that I like it. The trees that were botched are totally straight down, and when we get heavy snow and those trees now fall into my yard, who's gonna pay for my fence? Who's gonna pay for the trees falling? There's an apple tree 20 feet up in the air with apples on it. There's an apricot tree with leaves on it. They have been totally chopped And I think the city needs to either compensate me or come over and see what they can do, because that was not in that page. I was told that the city told us that trees and everything will be coming out of the alleyways. And I have rode my bike through these alleyways and see that it's only gone through Third Street, because I was an absolute lunatic the day I saw this. I'm upset. I had a plan. The plan we've had massive trucks. We've had 16-foot dumpsters on the Clear Creek, garbage department, go through our alley and drop it off at our rental house for someone who used to rent there. I find this absolutely unacceptable. It's absolutely unacceptable. I have pictures of my trees. They're a chop job. And I apologize to the man who's sitting here and our sheriff, because I was out of line that day, but I need.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Ray. I appreciate your comments. Are there any other comments?
Lori, did you receive any communication before me about
none.
anything? Okay.
Except this letter from the water department, which did not say they were going to cut anything, and I've never had anything in the alley, so I didn't really think about it. And I have Alpine Tree Service called Fairway Lawns. They have been helping me for what, 30 years now.
All right, thank you. We have your comments.
Thank you.
I'll discuss with my staff and with the other council members. Is there any other comment online for items of concern not on the agenda? Seeing no hands at this time, I'll close public comment. Moving on to consent agenda item 5. Any questions on the consent agenda with items A, B, C, D, and E?
Thank you for listening.
I have a question on the borough line item. Is there any communications or documentation where we can see information about some of the borough meetings, like other notes or?
The minutes are on.
Minutes on there. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Just kind of wondering a little bit about the intention for the capital outlay for 2025. So, okay, thank you very much. Any questions other than that?
Any other questions on the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Councilmember Shea,
I
Councilmember Mahoney, is that your phone number? I don't think it is. I think it's.
Yes. It's me. It's me. You hear me?
Sure I do. Are you voting yes on the consent
Yes, you
agenda?
did,
Yes.
Member Ovino?
Yes.
Member Calero?
Yes.
President Giordano?
yes.
All right, thank you. Moving on to new business, item A, monthly financial report for the month of July 2024, fiscal year 2024. Sorry, Sharon.
Yeah, the reason I had this held separately was July changed our cash position a whole lot. So if you'll turn to your page 1 in your packet there. In June, we were minus 3.8%. And now we're 9.3% above where we were last year in cash position. So things, a lot of income came in July. So things look a whole lot better than they did. The next 2 pages are just a breakdown of total income for the city, okay? So basically through July, we're at $300,949.35. The next pages are development impact fees. If you remember during the budget, I was concerned about that. We've now, due to 3 projects, those fees now total $51,000. So we've done as budgeted there. Moving on to the general fund lot tax. Our budget is 50,000. We're at 41,614. So I'm hoping we're going to make our 50 by the end of the fiscal year. Yeah. Franchise fees are up 85,000 over budgeted of 70. So things are looking much better this month. So I wanted to point those out to you. We're overall general fund, we're at 89.1% for the year. And general fund payroll, we're at 80.4%. And on total expenses, we're at 73.7 for the total general fund. So things are looking good there year to date. And then the following are just all of the individual department reports. And wastewater and water there are 2. Wastewater income is at 64.4%. It's a little behind where it should be for the fiscal year. But also expenses are at 55.5. So they're kind of in relation to each other there. And it's kind of the same, water's a little higher. They're at 87% for income and at 69.5 for expenses. So I just wanted to point out that things look a little better now. Now that we got more tax money.
Why would there be much fluctuation in our year-to-date income on the wastewater? Why we're only at 61% when we're at?
You know what? I just looked at that before the meeting and thought, I need to look at that. And I apologize. I didn't have time before the meeting to dig into that as to why that.
I mean, just since we're on set fees, I would think it would be fairly easy to project.
One of the things there was, let me get to it again here. Wastewater. Just trying to see where that. Yeah, it's not apparent. It doesn't jump out. So I'll have to look into that.
All right.
Oh, I can tell you, I'm sorry. I highlighted on mine. It's been a long day and I have a headache. The carryover is not reflected. So for wastewater, there's 188,889 and 377,610. Add those together, you've got over $600,000 of carryover. That's not reflected in that.
Okay.
So if you add that in there, it would make a huge difference.
Okay.
I just had a question on general fund. I noticed we had a significant sum in miscellaneous income.
That's the sale of the equipment that Casey's done.
Gotcha, thank you.
Yeah.
I feel like you've said it before, I apologize.
Yeah, we've done that before.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
Under my budget, fire department, our rental fee.
Maybe something is misaligned there.
Is the question that it's 0 or that it was budgeted for?
for the fire department for our park rental?
No, that's there's QuickBooks is giving me problems with park fees right now.
Okay.
And that's part of that I'm been trying to fix, and I apologize. It shows it's correct on mine, and then when I go do something like this, it pops up like this.
Yes,
So,
I just
no, it's not
noticed
part
I
of you.
highlighted it as income.
Yeah. Sorry. Thank you for catching that.
Any questions on the financial report?
You're welcome.
So a motion to accept the financial report.
I move to accept the financial report for the month of July 2024, fiscal year 2024.
Second.
Councilmember Jordan,
Yes.
Councilmember Leahy,
Yes.
Councilmember O'Connell,
Yes.
Councilmember Carrera,
Yes.
Councilmember Mahoney,
Hello, yes. Yes.
thank you,
We got you, Sean.
Councilmember Shea.
Yes.
Item B, presentation of pedestrian safety flags for the city and department report. Casey. Present the first safety flags and your department report.
So I believe you've got most of the paperwork for these things. This is a pedestrian crosswalk flag, and it's a program that was out of Washington. And it's basically an ownership thing, where the city continues to provide the flags and supply them and buy them and whatnot. But you hope to get a community buy the, so it's kind of like your adopt a highway thing. Instead, you'll get a resident or business downtown to adopt an intersection. They keep track of the flags that are on that intersection. They don't buy them, they just communicate with streets department saying 2 of our flags disappeared and we need 2 more. Instead of all the flags being on one side, it's just an ownership thing where the community gets to play a part in the beautification of their own city. I mean, we do it now, but I mean, it's a buy-in thing, taking care of flags. We had Kathy down at Davis. She really went out of her way in looking for the cheapest things to get. I mean, you could spend up to $50 a flag. These are, I think, $5.36 a flag, $5.36 of them. I don't know, it's just something a little bit different, and it's like I said, more than anything, it's something to get taken care of. There's nothing out of their pocket. It's just to walk up to the intersection and say, oh, we're missing one. It's a pretty simple thing, but it's all about, you know, neighbors helping neighbors and taking care of their own city.
What do our orange flags cost us?
The orange flags, I can't remember for sure what we just bought 20 of them, what? 3 months ago, 4 months ago. They're roughly the same colors. These do have the Bellevue logo on them and little emblem on them, so they look a little more special.
I wonder if we could do like at each intersection going through Main Street, if seeing if like businesses would be like, I'm gonna do a 1-year sponsorship and then they can like kind of pass the flag. So it's not, I mean, more pedestrians and the more that we have people downtown. It's definitely something we'll need, but it would be great, you know, to get a buy-in. Maybe
Right.
people are like, I don't want to do this for like ever. It's like, hey, for a year.
Well, and I believe, if I didn't read it right, that that's what it was.
Yeah.
A 6-month year buy.
Yeah.
You know, it's, you don't own the thing for a lifetime.
So then all they would be responsible for is either shooting an email or making a phone call?
Phone call, whatever, that we're missing some flags. Could you bring us more? Yes.
How many current flag locations do we have?
All of the core, so, and we run clear down to, the old bank, US Bank, and up to Spruce. There's generally, and if there's holders, there's usually 4 to 8 on each intersection.
How many orders do we have? Because I don't think we have. 4 intersections-ish.
That have holders.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know for sure. But on their program there, in the thing, it shows where they've cut pipe, which we have a surplus of old pipe down there, big sewer pipe, cut it in foot and a half lengths, set it right on the sidewalk.
That was gonna be my next question is, do we have enough flag holders and then have we identified more sections where we need them and could we provide them through the city ourselves?
I don't believe that we would need any more than, basically that covers all of your crosswalks. From that end to the 2 ends. More holders would be nice. Of course, you need post. Most of those holders were on.
Is there a particular color? I see that you have yellow ones to show us.
That's all she could find.
Okay. Just wondering if there's particular colors that are more
Yeah,
effective in flags.
green now.
Do you have a
There's
I'm asking
there's
the
a
marshal.
study in here that says like with the colors of what you should use, it's yellow over orange, but when I saw Ketchum's green ones, and I'm like, that doesn't make any sense, green means go.
Yeah. No, I like the yellow. I'm just curious why. Yellow. Yeah. A lot of our pedestrian signs are yellow.
Good
so-
one, chief.
Yeah. I also like, the idea of having it printed with a local business that has come and moved down to Bellevue that we really appreciate. So I think it's a great idea.
Are those reflected at all?
No, that would be very helpful.
Mm.
That'll add.
That would add significant, even if it's just a
Great idea.
stripe,
Like a
Yeah.
reflective border.
yeah, a stripe or something there would be huge.
Great.
It is scary at night and also.
Find
Yeah,
out
our-
what that-
Well,
I don't know what the cost is, because I know that Davis can also, I think they do screen printing too.
prefer to wear
but
all
maybe
black
a reflective little person in the center. Maybe just costing out some options. Reflective, I think, would be great.
How many we purchased so far, just those, or we bought
Those are
them,
just-
those are just for
That's,
show?
yeah, that's what she came up with to find out if we liked them or not.
I think it's definitely worth the extra $2 even on her flag to get some reflective on it.
Yeah, I don't know how much. actually.
Yeah, we want to be within, we want to be realistic about it, but our current red ones don't have reflective on them, and like everybody's saying, when you go across Main Street at night, flip a coin.
Wearing dark clothes.
Well, and something I've noticed on
Run really fast.
Spruce in particular, there is a lighted crosswalk, but it's on the opposite side of where the bus stop is.
Yes.
So a lot of people use, you've probably seen too, they use the crosswalk that's not the light up crosswalk because it's a more efficient way to get across from bus stop to bus stop.
Well,
So
two
the
of
flags would be,
our heaviest traffic crossings at night have 0 light.
Which ones are those?
Right here at Oak,
Um,
and then, has minimal to no light.
so
At
some
least
kind of.
Elm
fun would
has
be
a
amazing.
push button there, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you can't tell if somebody's actually crossing.
I was gonna say, I've noticed behavior of a lot of times people don't, I don't know where the push buttons are, but a lot of people use the non-push button other side of the street to cross too, so. Yeah, I think reflective flags, especially on those predominant non-lit areas is super important.
As long
Because
as
we have a
they're
lot
not
of foot traffic.
so cute.
We
that
do.
they get
We have a
so-
lot of foot traffic, so,
Significant.
yeah.
Those two. are so cute that I'll take that.
That's one thing that'd be my only concern about it is, you know, you see people and, oh, where'd you get a Elm Street, stop sign, or where'd you get this? And, you know, I see it more in college towns, but, you know, I've got kids that grab the flags and they walk around 3 blocks playing with them and then they just throw them in the street. I've grabbed the kids.
We lose the orange ones, you know, them
Yeah.
trucks that go down the side of the road with heavy equipment on them.
They work really nice.
Yeah.
So, I think there's always gonna be, somebody's gonna wanna hang one somewhere, but, we'll just put,
We can monitor the attrition, you know, it's one of those things
just
that.
put AirPods on them and we're coming after each one.
Air tags.
Air tags, now they're,
That's gonna up the cost.
$50 a piece.
I mean, my little slow guy that I put out, finally put it out and put it out in front of the yard down the driveway. It was stolen that night.
No.
That night. So we were trying to look at our cameras to see, but it was like too dark down the driveway. I think there's a party. of
So
little slow
more
guys.
starting to become nice to not too nice.
Mhm.
It's like having a little-
All right, is there any action item there you wanna, you have to approve moving
Have
forward
an
with
action
this?
on it.
Mhm.
What is a recommended motion? There just isn't one.
Yeah. After move, if you want to move to push him to purchase what he has and move to purchase what he has and add reflector, add a cost up to how much or.
Probably
I think we
proceed
should do
with
some research.
looking into it more for
Okay.
you. This was just a design that we came up with and we got more ideas tonight. Just to-
Maybe if we did a plain flag so that it wasn't so,
Adorable.
such an attractive thing to take.
I like that it's got the Bellevue logo on it. It feels
Yeah.
more community driven,
Yeah.
than just a plain
We
flag. Personally,
we still lose the orange flags. I
Yeah.
don't think it's gonna matter.
I think if the price is comparative, I think let's make this a Bellevue community thing and get, you know, buy-in from business owners and property owners on the corners and just, I think it looks like the branding didn't cost us much more. It's
The
gonna be the
yellow
reflective.
ones wouldn't be in your boat, though, or.
Yeah,
speedboat.
exactly. A lot of them on the
So
water.
yellow is that, yellow has a,
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
then-
Like a little guy.
What if we could look into it, and maybe save some cost on the logo, but get them a little reflective strip or something?
Let's let Casey move forward
Yeah.
with identifying the additional
Sure.
cost with a reflective strip as is, so with the logo. And then if it is a tremendous cost, we can ditch the logo, but we do want to make sure we have the, reflective on it. That sounds good. All right, moving on. Thank you, Casey. Next item, I believe, is still with streets.
big night for Casey.
No, yes, item C, discussion regarding streets division code enforcement. Casey. So I'm gonna kick this off a little bit. You know, Casey called me up after the incident with this Israel, and Yeah, we do try to put out as best we can. I'm sure we can get better at using our media, our social media, and also on our website. But we've had plenty of comments how people want us to clean up Bellevue. And the only place that we have full control over is our easements, our right of ways, and our alleyways. And so, you know, Casey with his streets crew has done a great job as best they can to start cleaning up the alleyways. And this includes overhanging shrubs and trees. And we need to go to a certain height just because of the vehicles that go through there. It's not our intention to destroy the aesthetic value of the trees. I'm a big fan of trees. We are supposed to be a tree city. You know, we do enjoy having the trees, but we also need to access the right of ways, the meter bulbs, and you know, right around with Casey, we saw some that they're able to clean up and they're real nice and people take good care of them. There's others that there's piles of anything from debris to bricks to just garbage. People have started planting gardens in the easement, and you know, how do we get our trucks through there without destroying the water system that you put in outside of your property and your garden? And at this point, you know, this late in the season, we don't want to tear out your garden, but next year there won't be a garden. You know, this is the one thing we can do. We were going through it. There was 2 different alleys that people had parked, you know, 8 by 12 cargo or tilt bed trailers, and they were just parked there. There's a camper in one of the alleys that looks like it had snow damage and it's crushed in, and it's not ever going to be used again. It needs to go away.
So what was done in those instances? Were they towed?
We're starting to put out notices, and we will be enforcing the clearing in the alleys. Right now, we're just working on the easy stuff, mowing the grasses, trimming the trees back. We are going to start enforcing, put out a notice. You have 30 days to remove the rubble and debris behind your house in the alleyway. And if it doesn't, we'll look at what we can do to enforce it. If we end up having to remove it and then charging them for removal. You know, people want this place, they want the city to be cleaned up. This is the easiest, lowest hanging fruit that the city has, because the easements and the alleyways are technically city rights of way, and they need to be clean and accessible. People want us to move in with really want us to get the metering started. We have several meters that have been down. People backing over them, and we have to continually go in and replacing them, but they don't learn, and they continue to say that it's our responsibility to replace them. So, you know, we need to work on education. You know, I'm not going out. I don't want to have the marshal go set out fines for everything right now. I want to bring some education out. I want people to have a chance to do a fall cleanup and start getting the stuff removed. But it is our opportunity to make these usable, open, and allow us to have the access to the infrastructure that we need to. We've seen that, I think Alpine Trees is maybe the company, but we had Idaho Power. We knew we had so many overgrown trees. Instead of asking the city to go clean all those trees and we took the bill, I reached out to Idaho Power. We just happened to be this year, they come through about every 3 to 5 years. And this was the year that they were coming through, and they're not the cleanest arborists. I think Casey and his crew have done a much better job trying to, you know, do the best they can with what they have to with the tree and the area they're trying to clear.
Mhm.
So this isn't an intent to target one house, one set of trees, one family. This is a clean sweep to get our alleyways open, to access the infrastructure, and it is our easements. They are our rights of way, and they are not storage areas, even though they've been used for that for, you know, how many every years. People want the city to be clean. This is one way we're going to start doing it.
The one thing I'd like to say, is, and correct me if I'm wrong, Casey, but the couple times that I've been with Casey or his guys that when they're doing it, hands down, most of the people are thanking them for getting out there and doing what they're doing. Specifically, one of the churches here in Idaho, we're very thankful that we came and cleaned up right behind theirs, which was just a walk down. So, I mean, we're always gonna have a little bit of negativity, but for the most part, it's been very positive.
I think our communication could be better coming from just living in another community, any shrubs or any of that move, it's a door notice of when the utilities will be in town, like the blanketed, like you're like, okay, I'm on 3rd Street, it gives people notice that you're going to be there, because for so long, Bellevue has been operated a certain way, so all of a sudden you come home.
Then you have to go find the money for the door knockers and for the people to hang the set door knockers. It's one of the big
Got it.
issues as well.
But our water bill goes to only one person in the household, and if that person doesn't communicate to everybody else in the household in that fine print, it's missed. I think we could do a better job at like figuring out, like, hey, I'll go put those notices up and take a walk. I'm gonna be on 4th Street, if that is like a step to like make it easier for our community, because one of the things is the communication, not the expectation and communication, like, hey, yes, this is amazing, we're cleaning up our community, but also we need to be communicating with our community what we're doing.
I understand what you're saying, but you also take the fact that people are aware, for the most part, that there are laws and there are regulations and there are planning and zoning codes. And they have the opportunity to take them under advisement and adhere to them. Or there is a reaction the city can take. You know, if you were the city, if we were say Twin Falls, how is Twin Falls gonna notify 50,000 people that they're gonna do a block of work? They're not. They put a large advertisement out there. We have a small staff. We have a small community. We can put it on the website. You know, the billing isn't the best because we know that, yes, the billing goes to one person, even if it is mailed to every house or to every billing customer, that customer may be a landlord and that house might be a rental. And so those people never get it either. So we can use social media, we can use others, but again, the cost to door hangers, yeah, it's not much, but when you start doing door hangers for every project that you're putting out there, it'll be a significant cost. You know, we try to advertise it, but as they see it, and as we start getting back into taking ownership of our alleyways, people will start getting the idea and understanding that, okay, they need to start cleaning after themselves. And that's why I'm saying we're not going right in there and removing all debris or moving all this rubble or moving all the cars. And start educating them, let them know, but it'll be expected that in the future, they're coming through, they're gonna clean. There may be notice, we'll try to put out best we can, but I'm not knocking on everybody's door, I'm not having staff knock on everybody's door, cupcakes and Kool-Aid, say, here we are, to clean your backyard for you, because you can't do it. You know, I understand that people work and, you know, they may not have the weekend to clean their backyard because they have to work 7 days a week. But they find time to pile up the garbage there. They need to find time to get rid of it.
I might add something there. One thing that I don't think's quite understood is that this streets department, parks, buildings and grounds is a very fluid schedule and it changes by a phone call. Whose whim is most important today is what we move first. A tree falls on 6th and Allen. Could you go get that cleaned up? We drop what we're doing, we go take care of that. Is to say that we're coming down 3rd and 6th right now, that's not gonna happen. We put out a blanket statement that the work is being done. And I don't mean for what I'm about to say to sound cynical or anything, but I've learned some empathy for the past crew. And as to why maybe these alleys haven't been cleaned for so many years. Who wants to go stick their neck out and take the abuse if there's no backstop?
And we've also seen going right around facing, going through all these alleys, there's quite a few dead trees in there and that are safety hazards. And so it's not like we're trying to, you know, beautify and take down the trees, public safety and access to our utilities, and clear open access through our right of ways.
You are responsible for every one of those trees in that alley. And each of those trees is about $1,500 to take down if it's deemed a dangerous tree that's gonna fall on somebody's property. Got a whole lot of money hanging out there that
I just want to kind of follow up on the communication side of things. While I understand what you're saying, Jessica, we've historically communicated through our water and sewer bills. And so I do think it is citizen responsibility to read your water and sewer bills. We have been communicating through there. We have sent notices through there. We have sent information. So while the city needs to do its part in communication, which I believe we have, our citizens need to do their part in reading the communication we're putting out there, letting their tenants know, letting their household members know. We are a small city with a small staff, and we're doing the best we can. And, you know, people are concerned about our finances. They're concerned about, you know, maintaining all these things. And it's very easy to blame the city, but I think it's for citizens to then do their part. Read your sewer and water bills, read the notifications. If you have a question, call in and, you know, get the answer. So instead of being reactive, just try and be more proactive citizens and engage with the information that as is being given out to you. And all the city can do is try to continue to communicate clearly the best way we can with where we're at with budget and staff. So I understand what you're saying, but I also think everyone has a responsibility to know the laws, read the communications, and just be a responsible citizen within the city. So
The alley isn't your personal property.
yeah. And so, you know, I feel for all the situations, but there is a level of responsibility of opening your mail, opening your email, reading the notifications, and making sure you're an educated citizen with all the information that the city puts out there for you. So.
And I think the Lennons in their specific situation probably did look at their bill. It sounds like at least 2 previous occasions when work has been done by the city, they've checked to make sure that, you know, do we need to move our trees? Do we need to trim the trees? Is there something that we need to do? They've been really responsible in that regard, and I feel like it's really a shame that they are paying the price that they're paying at this point without much notice given to them. Not that, you know, as has been stated, it seems like, you know, the notification process is cumbersome, but I just, you know, I feel for these people in this situation because they've been really good neighbors to everybody in their neighborhood. And they've plowed snow and they've shoveled snow and they've tried to do their best to help neighbors. And I just feel like it's
and sometimes
shame
when
that
these
they-
things happen, I feel like, you know, you do have really good community members that comply and really try and take care of things. And it is unfortunate when they fall victim to, you know, the cleanup that's happening because we have citizens that are encroaching and growing and trash and all that. So I think I hear what you're saying. I think sometimes people get affected negatively.
Also, looking at the history of the changeover, Casey and his crew may not have been fully aware of any prior communications with them. And so it wasn't, they were targeted. It was, they actually, I don't think they butchered them. I thought they actually did a fairly nice job of pruning them up the way they need to be pruned off of the roadway. They were overhanging into the vehicle line. You could not drive past them without hitting your mirrors or side of your vehicle on them. It wasn't like we cut them back 6 feet into their property line to get it back over their fence. We put it to a point that the vehicle and the vehicle tracks were cleared. So.
And those were contract water guys that put those lines in. They were not city, they were city employed, but by a grant and contracted. No city employee told them.
I'm just saying, I think it was,
It's a sad situation.
I think it is a sad situation and they're hoping for some compensation and relief. And it sounds to me like from this discussion, they're not gonna get any of that
The trees were on
consideration.
the city right away as a whole.
the entire tree could. So this is something that's come up in trimming trees down the roadways. So these trees were planted 30 years ago. How big do you think those trees were when they planted? The trees stay that size?
Well, I'm not stupid. Yeah,
They have to be trimmed.
I get it.
All these trees down like Oak Street. I had a talk with Tom Bergen. He says, oh, but mother loved those trees so much. We all love those trees. It's a very Norman Rockwell setting. Trees leaning over both sides of the street, touching each other. Nothing but a tunnel down through it.
Especially when it snows in October.
Exactly.
What do they call
Limbs fall and. Yeah, those, he says, my mom's got pictures of back when they were, you know, those trees were here. Yeah. How many years ago and what size were those trees?
Do you think we could maybe just have the notes that we put in our water bill, have Amy just put those on social media? Or if I have time, I can
No,
do it
and-
that's great,
way to get it out there.
That's fine, and that's, I said that, I said we should get it out on our social, we should get it on our website. I mean, website, I think we have the ability to put a banner, so, or something that, whatever's happening that week, so people can just check on real quick and they can see if there's anything going on,
Great.
of consequence. And with Amy taking on the social media more, directly working with the city, we'll have her put more stuff like this.
When is that new website gonna launch? Anytime in the next 10 years?
What'd you say? You kind of next 10 years?
That's what I said.
No, please, what were you gonna
I'd
say?
like to hear what Michelle said. I do think that was a little bit offensive. So Michelle,
I was
When
just
was-
able to get the DNS last week.
I don't know what a DNS.
I don't either, but we can't change our website with that company. The
I know what you're
internet
talking
company clear out there had it. I called our current website. We called our IT people. I was going all over the place looking for it. The lady at Civic Plus finally got it. I didn't find it.
The lady
And I-
at where?
The people that are doing our new website. And I keep saying, please change this, please change that. You know, I don't want them to set it up and then a year later say, oh, well, let's pay $5,000 to have you redesign it. When what, it's like I told the mayor, crap in, crap out. Our website is crap, I'm sorry. So that's what they had to work with. So I'm like, instead of every single application, I'm like, no, move every application under by a department. Some people don't know what they're looking for. We made our email addresses. So when I leave in 2 months, they're not emailing Michelle Starr, they're emailing clerk at Bellevue, Idaho. They're emailing treasurer at Bellevue, Idaho. They're not emailing a specific person.
Well,
even though
I'm
we
sorry
have-
for the sarcastic tone of my comment. I'd like to retract that if it's possible, but
It's not a overnight thing. I mean.
no, I get
And we were
that.
supposed
It
to
just,
go live, but we couldn't.
do we have a timeline for that? Because we did see that round of potential launch. Is there another revision
I'll
to
email
it?
her tomorrow and say, as soon as you can get up there, get up there. I don't care anymore.
Okay.
Get up there.
Or just one more round. I think there was a really effective revision review that happened.
Oh, I
Yeah.
typed up 5 or 6 pages.
Yeah.
Please change this, please do this. Shelley muted, but I've typed,
Yeah,
what, 6, 7 pages?
Oh, she's done a
Add
lot.
this, do that.
yeah. There was a
please
lot of
put-
revisions.
Please put the fraud link on there so people can, we're adding all kinds of stuff so our community has access. You guys asked me, put the current restaurants, I typed all that up, change the addresses. It takes time.
Is there, and maybe I can go back and reference the contract. Once the website's up, we do have some maintenance in there with them, right? A little bit of back and forth, or is it once the website's up, we
We can have training and have help, but they're not gonna redesign it.
redesign? Okay, so I
That-
think
That will be up
where
to
Michelle's
us.
at is wanting to make sure we're fully utilizing what we're paying for these website developers to make sure that we're getting the best product possible before we launch it and then can't go back and make all these
No,
changes.
I can't, because I already asked for another button, and they said, no, you'll have to start over. Or an extra tab at the bottom. No,
Okay.
start over, new fee. I was like, never mind, I don't want it.
thank you for the update.
Okay,
Sorry, can I just
Yeah,
touch back on
please.
this? From what I'm gathering here too, I feel like Casey is just seeking a little bit of counsel and support. The streets department is sticking their neck out and they are, taking the direction that we've been having multiple discussions about of cleaning the city up. And they are out there in the field, getting a lot of the backlash, the positive and the backlash. And I just want to come out and say that I completely appreciate what you're doing and support what you're doing. It sounds like there is a little bit more communication we could be doing. I want to just echo again, I think our citizens, I really would appreciate buy-in and reading the communications we put out there. And as a whole, moving forward to taking pride of your yard, your front yard, making sure your alleys are clean, because it takes an entire community to make sure that we're looking good and the city, is holding up their end of the bargain. So citizen buy-in, the city will continue to do what they're doing. The streets department will keep doing the great job that they're doing. And I think we're moving in the right direction. We all just need to start getting on the same page. So thank you, Casey, and the streets department for what you do.
Any other discussion?
Can I mention something?
Please.
When the marshal had code enforcement, I can't think of what his name was.
Doesn't matter.
He went around and had people move. I was one of them. I had a trailer in my alley, wasn't blocking anything, been there for years. It's not there today because of that. He told me, he tagged a couple of their vehicles that are there right now still. And I texted him pictures, constant thing, there's some houses that I've been here 30 years in Bellevue, and the same houses, everybody knows, I drive up Oak Street because there's only 5 stop signs instead of Elm, where there's 2 more, but, those houses are there, they're disgusting, my neighbors' houses are, and, so he's got a uphill battle, the one neighbor that his car sitting there right now, I guarantee, he put one of those temporary garages there and put a boat in at one time. So I called, the city came, he hates me, and he probably thinks it was me that got his little Toyota 4Runner moved. He moved it for a couple days. He has plenty of other parts. But, just things like that Casey is up against, it's like, okay, you got trees in the right of way. Do you have an encroachment permit for that? I have a 30-year-old tree. I can show everybody what that 30-year-old blue spruce tree looks like, and it scares me with these winds, I think it's good position right now, but eventually I'm gonna have to cut it down because, it's in my yard, it's not in the right of way or alleyway or anything. But, just for instance, what he's up against, those trees were planted, 30 years ago. Did they get an encroachment permit to do? No. The ones along Oak? No.
And we saw so many too that are naturally reseeded, so,
Right.
I mean, they've just grown from shrubs to,
Suckers.
yeah. But no, we appreciate Casey, I did get a letter of acceptance from a community development director, that will be starting October 1st. And, that will be an opportunity to look at where we can, we're gonna be talking about fees here in a minute, but start looking where we can collect our fees that we haven't been, and then revisit the potential of getting on a code enforcement officer. So it's all small steps. I mean, we're trying different ways to get there. We want to be as friendly and as good community partners as we can. So none of this is personal, but we need to take ownership. Casey's doing the best job he can with his crew. We're trying to be polite, professional with the marshal's office, and ruffle people's feathers. We want people to have sense of understanding of this is a good community to be a part of, and we try to do our best, and we try to be level-handed. We don't want to look like we're just targeting one individual or one set of houses or, you know, whatever. We are trying to enforce it in broad strokes across the board and give everybody the opportunity to fix it, remediate it before we have to go into civil, any sort of fines, fees, or whatever else. So, any other discussion?
Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, thank you, Casey. Discussion and direction of staff to a resolution for collection services. Michelle.
Right now, we have no means of collecting fees that people won't pay unless we want to take them civilly. Personally, I don't think I would advise paying Mr. Allington to file a civil fee for a $100 violation. Am I wrong? Am I
I
correct?
want to go to a collection agency.
Huh?
We want to go to.
Yeah, and that's what the city does not have that option right now. I talked with Marshall and asked him about it. The first thing I said is, well, how much money are we? And he said, by law, we get our entire fee. They have to tack on their fee. So the city collects their entire fee. He suggested that Twin Falls Collections that he's used before. Is that correct?
We used to have a local company.
I think there's Blaine County, yeah.
Yeah.
So anyways, I spent an hour on the phone the other day with a gentleman who had been warned the week before that he needed an encroachment permit. He did not get it. He cut into the right of way. Marshall Gaston gave him a $100 violation. 2 months later, he said you need to pay your violation because Marcy and Maria couldn't get him to even talk to them. And he said, I didn't do anything wrong. I said, well, actually you did. You don't own that property. That is not your property to improve, cut in. I said, I guarantee you that every entity in this area has encroachment permits. No, I did the same thing as Shoshone and they didn't make me get one. I said, okay, I'll tell you what, let me call Shoshone real quick and I'll call you right back. Oh, well, so how much do I owe? But I spend a lot of time just talking to people. This is why you got it. Could you please pay it? So you're paying me an hour to do it when we could send it to collections and let them worry about it, and hopefully I could just work and not be on. I've been on the phone many hours with different people.
Call the city, or county clerks, I think they might be using a collection agency to collect infraction penalties.
The county.
Yeah, the clerks over the courthouse. There used to be a local Blaine County collection, I don't know if they're still.
I think we're still, we used to use them.
Brenda sold it
yeah,
to
yeah.
somebody and,
But I would like to see the city give its fines. Why have a separate penalty if you're not gonna give them money? This person doesn't pay, well, my neighbor didn't pay it, why do I have to pay it? And that's basically the point he was getting at. I'm sure other people get these, do they get them? I'm like, well, you're my first. My first. That's just something I would like to do for the city.
Is that something we want to instate now, or do you think with,
Oh, it's just discussion.
yeah, no, or I'm
Okay,
discussing,
sorry.
yes. Or when we have our new community development director on, if we want to kind of create procedure around fees, collections, notifications and all of that, or how's everyone feeling? Is that something we can instate and we can always change it?
I don't see that being a community development function.
Not, okay. Well, we talked about fees and you were just kind of talking about.
There's certain fees like.
Okay, so
we'll get to
fees that go under that umbrella versus, okay, general fees. Okay.
No, but no, I think if I were I would like to see Michelle pursue identifying a collections team and present us what we need to do as a city to adopt that, and then we can have it on a future council discussion and make a resolution that we adopt them as our collectors. We know, again, if we can't collect it, we can't enforce it. And if we're not enforcing it, then everybody does whatever they want. And if we don't start doing some level of enforcement, nothing's ever gonna change. And this is an opportunity and I've said this in the past, I'm not looking again for this to be a revenue option. This is a tool for us to improve bad behavior. Because I think I've made a comment that came out in the paper about the ATVs. You know, I would like to see people police each other so we don't have to go into stricter rules and regulations. And one of the comments on the paper was, as long as people existed, people have never policed themselves. And so unless we have some sort of enforcement mechanism, unless we start actively engaging and there will be a known risk to not paying it, nobody's ever gonna follow it. So again, I don't wanna see it as revenue collection, but I wanna see it to change behavior and clean up the city the way people have been asking us to do it.
So who keeps track of who owes what? Is that coming to you, Shelley?
No.
We have it centralized, okay.
Well, we actually have a little weird money, but he'll send me a copy of the letter, I'll print it off, I'll put it on my calendar when their days are up. I contact him and I'll say, has so-and-so done what they're supposed to do? Yeah, this person did. I'm still working with this person, he's moving along, and I gave this person a violation. Is basically how it's going, am I correct?
No, that's pretty much it. And as far as the civil penalty, once the citation's issued, it goes over to the clerk's office. And then at the clerk's office, they're given 3 weeks to pay or not. And at that point, then most people, when they're issued that civil penalty, just come in and pay it.
It seems like we gotta have like an accounts receivable type
They do once a
place where we can, so we see where that money's coming in or somebody's.
No, I mean, it deposits into a line item.
It goes into the.
Oh, okay, that was my question. So,
It's just Marcy and Maria that deposit. Yeah.
Yeah, but it goes into its own individual line item. Or revenue.
But it sounds like,
You're more worried about
Yeah.
the due date though, right?
well, yeah, I mean, somebody's, yeah, I mean, that's the
Then
problem.
the
You have a lot, but somebody's gotta monitor it when they've got 30 days to pay it, and then somebody needs to send them a letter that's probably, I think I was looking at this code here, you gotta give them, you gotta comply with some state laws aside from our own procedures. So, see that for some of this stuff to kind of get overlooked.
I think Michelle is doing it now, but Michelle, do you think that's something that Maria could monitor time-wise?
But I think I believe the reason the reason I got involved is he wouldn't talk with Maria, he wouldn't work with Maria. She said, I called her, it was 3 months. And so finally, I said, I don't really care how you pay it in half, pay it in thirds, pay it in quarters, get it paid. And he paid it half and half. He said, I don't have a lot of money, I work a lot. I said, okay, just tell me what you can do. If you need 4 weeks to pay it, take $25 a week. And he'd be half and half. And I said, okay, what's for me?
I think it sounds like collections would potentially free up a lot of staff time
Yeah.
around this, so
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing what the options are to get you guys some assistance on something that shouldn't be taking as much time as it is. You're doing a great job, but let's
I mean,
get you some
the
help.
first person I dealt with, but I
Yeah.
was on the phone for about an hour.
Yeah,
And he didn't like my phone was cautious.
So are you good with moving forward and trying to find services for us? All right, moving on to discussion and direction to staff to draft a consolidated fee schedule and amend and add certain fees. So we've been talking about this during the budgeting process that we wanted to revisit and identify fees. I don't plan on having a workshop tonight to go through any of these line by line, but I want to provide Michelle with some direction on what you want to see, where we want to see changes, so she can start developing something that we actually have an agenda item to review, go over the line items and adopt these. And that will also probably require a public hearing, I assume.
Yes.
So. What do you got, Michelle?
Our applications, some are a lot out of date, they don't have the current prices on. I've been going through each application, I'm turning them into PDF fillables, so when they're on the new site, that people can just fill them in and email them. It's not very time consuming, but breaking out the parks application into 3 parks applications, because I don't fully understand, took me a while. But now we have 3 instead of people trying to figure out, what do I think this, and I put that the direct cost is for the porta potties and the trash. No, we're not covering the cost. You will pay with the current prices. If you want to see the invoice, we will show you the invoice. And I think a lot of the cities, these should be direct costs, because right now publications, it's $45 to publish their notice. Well, who's eating the cost? We are, because I guarantee you it's not $45 to publish a notice. That was a long time ago. I don't even know it was $45. So we're eating everything after $45. It needs to be a direct cost.
Yeah.
And what applications are those for?
Oh, no, I'm just talking about public, when we have the parks I broke out. Sorry, I skipped right over then publications. I'm just giving examples. We only charge $45 to do a publication in the paper for a legal notice. Rezone or not, or text amendment, lot line adjustment, or any of the zoning things. If you have to publish, the charge is $45 on our application.
They probably are minimum of $120.
Oh, yeah.
Minimum.
Yeah. So what we're charging is not reflecting our actual costs, and we'd like to get us,
We're losing a lot of money
yeah,
on that.
to
Direct.
direct costs.
And so that's printed somewhere?
On our application, yeah, it says you will pay $45 for the publication, you will, for the mailing, pay current postage. And,
Well, that should say you should pay current publication cost.
well, it doesn't, that's why I'm suggesting.
So she's working on
change it.
Yeah.
A lot of our fees should be direct cost, I mean,
Yeah.
well, but I'm just saying, for instance, the publication, we're eating a lot of money on publications.
Now, you've seen in the packet, Michelle has broken out some that she's already identified, starting as simple as printing fees.
We can't charge them unless we have a fee.
But you look at that, okay. For a double-sided or single-sided color, and you want 100 copies of it, that adds up really quickly. So
And on those I have-
Especially when we pay.
I Googled, what is the average cost of one piece of paper, 8.5 by 11? Okay, so what is the average cost to print black and white on one page? And that's where I actually got those numbers from. I'm trying to be fair
Yeah.
and not, take people for money, but we can't, we just can't keep giving stuff away.
And she's looked at the surrounding communities, so our general area, and we're trying to match their fees. It's one thing with development impact fees where if we're trying to entice somebody to come to Bellevue and we want to be a little bit cheaper than Haley that we've done in the past on that. But we need to cover our end on a lot of this, and that's all that we're really looking at is what is our cost to do this? What is our cost to do this with our staff time to get a fair adequate fee out there?
Are we able legally to have, do we have to have a stated exact fee, or are we able to say, current cost fee? Is there
That's where
She was putting in direct bill.
direct bill?
And
And
if you
that's,
don't like
Our
that,
charges
I'm asking
are
Rick.
authorized by our ordinances, and say by a fee set by resolution of the council,
Yeah.
so you just have to do it by resolution.
yeah, that's why you can word it any way you want, that's just what I.
well, just because then it saves time, every few years having to change the number based on inflation and changes in fees, like I
The
like,
best idea is to do this once a year, that we don't ever do, is to have a date.
once a year.
Reevaluate all of our fees and do it just once a year, that way, we're not just
Pre-budget,
ad hoc.
well, because then it helps
Yeah.
with budget
Yeah.
numbers, but
Yeah,
yeah.
I like it.
And what I didn't know is the ICC, they adopted a new fee schedule biannual. I had no idea. I learned that about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I did.
Okay.
So I looked up at one city and it says they have the right to amend building fees biannually for ICC, whatever it is. I thought, well, that's a great idea.
Mhm.
I mean, at least review it.
But I do agree, it's just a challenge if we start budget season, when we started in May this year. So we would want to have this done by April, so we'd have to start looking at this March, started the 1st of March. There was a workshop and then everything brought for public comment for the second meeting, and then by the first meeting in April, we could potentially, or if we had one more revision, we could have it finished by the second meeting in April. So put a note on that, Michelle. We'll continue moving forward this year on this fall.
Yeah, I'd love to get
Well,
this.
I'll get something on.
Well, and what I was gonna say is once, it seems like we're pretty far behind, and once we get kind of where we are. Doing it again every year should be easier and easier as we keep going, but I'd love to see this get done this fall.
Yeah, no, I would like to see you work on the schedule and what you can provide for us. We'll have a workshop. Let's do a workshop the second meeting in September. And then first week in October, the first meeting in October, open for public comment and potentially adopt, but adopt no later than last meeting in October.
Do you want to wait till you're here in person? Maybe we just bump it to the first in October, just because you're.
No, I think we can,
Do it.
we can do it at the end. I can do it online.
Okay, perfect.
I don't want to delay it. Yes.
Quick question, please. So I glanced at this and I know it looked like there were some proposed fee changes. I have to report on this in the morning, tomorrow morning. So I'm asking if that would be appropriate to report on, show if there are proposed changes to fees that are posted within that packet.
At this time, we're still looking at those proposed fees. We're giving staff, I'm asking Michelle to look at the ones where she can find information on to give us a good number. I'll ask council to review it, and if they see certain items that they are concerned that they want to do a suggested fee, and at the workshop, September 23rd, we'll have a workshop, and then that's when we will have the proposed fees to put together, and then the first week in October will be public comment to discuss the fees and potential adoption.
So I shouldn't use any examples. in the
No.
packet, correct?
I mainly was just setting up the template.
So if like I made notes about different things, would I just send that to Michelle? Like, hey, I was looking at the park fees and we didn't have those in just CC.
You could make your notes and we can either present them at the workshop, because at the workshop,
Okay.
we'll go through the lines,
Okay.
or at least the bulk items. And then we can consolidate what we do from there, and Michelle can make adjustments.
And I welcome recommendations from anybody.
But yeah, if you
I'm happy,
do,
we'll give feedback and all that with another round.
if you do have items that aren't listed there yet, and you have references on what you think that fee should be, where you're pulling those numbers, you can give them to Michelle ahead of time. I mean, there's no, and you don't need to CC me, just get it.
Okay.
Just, if you see things where you think you can help and you can get our fees that are in these blank areas, feel free to contact.
The main question is, do we have stormwater? I don't know.
Well, that actually got brought up
Like
in another
stormwater,
city.
I'm used to seeing the curb in the gutter and having a big hole in the water going in. Is that how
No,
it's
we do have, we do have some dry wells and we do have some stormwater, but I don't know where the fees, we'd have to ask, probably have to bring in Shane on that one.
I did see that. I think it's, no, I like that you're looking into it.
And Michelle, I'm happy to work on that park section piece.
Okay.
I would like to work on that.
And if you can do the franchise, because I don't know what percentage and who you get them from. That's why I just put, I think, percent like that.
This is great. Yeah.
And then I
That's
know
awesome.
you want to increase the lot fee, and I don't know how that works. I tried to put notes in there so people would understand this is what.
Well,
Hold on the lot.
the lot we'll discuss in the coming months. We're not gonna be able to get it on the November ballot, and so, we will discuss it, here in the next few months and get it ready for next year.
And what I meant is, I didn't know if it was 3% or not, so I was like, I thought I heard 3, but.
It currently is.
It's currently 3.
Yep.
So the fire department has the resolution and ordinance that's posted online, and I look at that all the time. And
Yeah, but let us know if we need to do any adjustments and any amendments to it. And we want to,
I'm comfortable with them right now, because we did bump them up a little bit in 2010.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that,
I think the consensus is,
It's
Greg,
almost 15 years. so.
the consensus is not only from council, but it also seems from community members. We need to be charging, the fees we need to be charging need to cover the cost of the city. So we're not losing money on fees people should be paying. Now, we're not trying to get additional revenue, but we do need to cover, when I consider a fee, so like the park fee, we take in all the costs that are associated with it, at the processing time for the clerks to process it, and that becomes the fee. If there are the ones that are here that are like direct bill stuff, there still has to be a 3% or a 5% increase to that direct bill to cover the admin fees for processing.
Right.
So
Just like I have a kitchen cook. It's $125. Takes me half an hour.
Ketchum charges 250 to 300.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just saying in context of the cities.
I make $20 an hour. So am I gonna get some of this one?
Well,
it
helps with the fire budget, yeah.
That they need to go up, you know,
Gasoline.
burn permit fee. I go there, check it out, or, you know, it's the same guys.
So 35 for a burn permit, you're not taking into account the processing time it takes us here.
Yeah.
In paying for
That's-
deposits and all that.
I appreciate what you're saying. I
Yeah.
understand. I appreciate your transparency
25
of
is
saying
the
how
count.
long it's actually
Yeah.
taken you and
So-
all
That
that.
means your fees were set well before.
anything else, Michelle, on that?
No, I just, if you didn't want it, I didn't want to spend a lot of time on it.
I
And
think
so I
it's-
just
oh, we
wanted
want
to
it.
know, I just wanted to make sure that was something you wanted.
Oh,
We
yeah.
want it.
But
We
because I
want it,
didn't
thank
ask,
you.
I just started doing it.
No, I think this
Thank
has been a topic of discussion. You picked up on it and you ran with it and it's much appreciated.
Should be proactive.
Anything else?
That was a really good new business agenda. Thank you.
All right,
I moved it during the meeting.
Second?
all in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you.
No, it's only. We're gonna be working. through the 13th, Newport Daily, and go on vacation daily. So he'll start here.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. Okay, so good to know.